Hello everybody, how are you doing? First ever live stream on Twitch. Welcome to the live stream. I'm glad you could be here with me today. This is a live stream where we will be taking a deep dive into a fight taking place this weekend between Tai Tuivasa and Sergey Spivak from UFC 243. And it is a fight that's an interesting one because obviously Tai Tuivasa should be favoured here. He's got home advantage. He's a very, very skilled, talented fighter. And let's face it, Spivak didn't look great in his UFC debut. Spivak has only fought a very low level of opponent up until this point in his career. So I understand why Tuivasa is a big favourite. But at the end of the day, it's a heavyweight fight. And every single heavyweight in the division, they carry the power to hurt their opponent bad and knock them out with one shot. So whenever I see a heavyweight, that is a big favourite. I always want to research it as soon as possible because that always feels like it could be a little bit off to me. So we're going to take a deep dive into this fight today. This is the first time I've ever streamed on Twitch though, so please, if you're watching this, hit me up in the stream chat. Let me know if everything sounds okay and looks okay. What I am going to plan on doing is I'm going to try and live stream my research for 3 fights tonight. We are going to do Tai Tuivasa against Sergey Spivak. We are also going to do Megan Anderson against Zara Fern dos Santos, and we are also going to do Brad Riddell against Jamie Malaki. Now there is a reason why I have prioritized researching these 3 fights. I've just explained the reason why I have prioritized researching Tuivasa versus Spivak, because well, when you see a heavyweight as a big favorite, that already gets my spidey senses tingling. And if you are watching this video on YouTube, just know that you could have watched it live on Twitch, where you could have got access to my research before anyone else. Check me out on Twitch. You could just go to twitch.tv/Diary of a Pro Gambler to find me. I will leave a link in the description below. But for now, let's jump right into this fight. So first of all, let's take a look at any potential X factors we've got on this matchup. So both guys are coming into this fight on a full training camp. This is Sergey Spivak's second fight in the UFC. His first fight, his debut against Walt Harris, ended in under 1 minute. So I guess we could kind of treat this as his debut because he certainly wouldn't have had much time to settle into a rhythm or get comfortable competing under the bright lights of the UFC. Also, in terms of size differences, both guys look roughly the same size. Spivak's got a 3-inch reach advantage over Tai, but they're roughly the same height, and also, you know, around about the same age. Spivak 24, Tuivasa 26. So, you know, size and age shouldn't play a factor into this matchup. So obviously I've watched the last few Tai Tuivasa fights, so we kind of know what to expect from him. And throughout watching footage on Spivak, I can kind of talk you through how I think he might match up with Tuivasa. Now, once we're done breaking down this fight, what I am going to do is end this stream and go and make sure the footage is all okay to upload to YouTube. And if it is okay, if there are no problems with it, with like the sound or the video or anything like that, I will come straight back online and break down the Megan Anderson versus Zara dos Santos fight. And I urge you to try and spend some time with me on this live stream today, guys, because I do think there could be some decent betting opportunities within these 3 fights. Obviously, right now I have no idea. I haven't researched them. But like I say, all 3 have got my spidey senses tingling. So fingers crossed we'll be able to find something decent. So now we go into the actual breakdown for Tuivasa against Spivak. And don't forget, guys, drop a comment in the stream chat on Twitch if you want to ask me anything about this fight, and I'll do my best to answer as we go along. So, first fight we are going to watch is Sergey Spivak against Tony Lopez, which was his last fight before he came into the UFC from WWFC 12. This fight took place in September 2018, so almost 1 year ago now, finishing the first round, and Jesus, Tony Lopez is gotta be getting on a bit. Yeah, Jesus, he is 45 years old now. He has been around forever. So we will get into watching this fight now, see what Sergey brings to the table. Sergey's the guy on the left with the blue gloves. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what skills he brings to the table. So obviously, and I've just noticed there's a kid in an Indian, red Indian type hat Interesting. Not too sure what that's all about. A little bit random, but already this is giving us some good information early on, guys, because obviously Tuivasa, his takedown defense is okay, but it's not bulletproof, and when he's on the ground, he's very, very, very weak on the ground. So interesting to see Sergey Spivak open up here looking for a takedown, because Tuivasa's at such a low level. Spivak certainly wouldn't need to bring too much to the table when it comes to grappling for us to find value in him. And interesting how he ties Lopez up and drives him right into the cage. And this kid in this funny hat thing is going absolutely crazy in the background. Very interesting. Not too sure what the significance of this headpiece is, but he is certainly having a grand old time. But Spivak doesn't get near a takedown there, which isn't a good sign when you're fighting a 45-year-old. But certainly showing some nice fast hands there, landing some decent combinations. Lopez reversing position, putting Spivak on his back against the cage. And I would love to see Spivak demonstrate some decent grappling within these fights, because that's really what we're looking for. We know Tuivasa has got a granite chin. We know he's got decent cardio for a heavyweight. We know he's very tough, decent boxer. But if you can take him down, you can cause him major, major problems on the ground. Absolute major problems. And very nice here. So Spivak shooting on a deep single leg here. Doesn't get it. Tony Lopez is able to shrug him off quite easily. But the fact we're seeing Spivak threaten with these techniques is encouraging. And already, we're just 2 minutes into this first round. Lopez already looking like he's fading a little bit here. Perhaps getting a little bit tired. Which isn't surprising considering he's 45 years old. Just popping the jab out there. But he's looking not moving as well as he did at the beginning of the fight, which was just 2 minutes ago. And now Spivak in on a body lock. Now he should be able to take Lopez down from here. Doesn't have his hands connected around his body, but he could he does actually. He must have long limbs to be able to do that, and he does take Lopez down. Very, very interesting. Unable to establish a dominant position though, which is the concerning thing, because even though Tuivasa doesn't have very good takedown defense and he's quite weak off his back, he is very good at exploding back to his feet if you give him any space. And here we can see when Spivak does drag Tony Lopez to the ground, he doesn't stay tight to him. He does give him a lot of space in this a lot of space here to explode back to his feet. You know, if you were to give someone like Tuivasa that amount of space, pop back up to their feet very, very easily. So, Spivak showing some grappling here, but not enough of what I want to see personally. You know, you would have liked to have seen him get heavy from top position there and establish some grappling control, because let's be real, Spivak's being allowed to dictate everything here, and this kid is having, like I say, a whale of a time in the back, but Spivak is being allowed to dictate the pace here. Tony Lopez just standing with his back against the cage, flat-footed, allowing Spivak to tee off, and obviously Tuivasa's not going to do that. He's going to fire back hard, he's going to fire back aggressively. Oh, guys, can everyone hear me and see me okay? I think some people might be having a bit of a problem. Let me know if you guys can hear me and see me okay. Someone's saying they can't see me. Let me know if everything's all good, boys. Cheers. Thanks, guys. So Spivak looking all right here, but not really blowing our hair back. I mean, a couple things I've noticed just to summarize the first 4 minutes of footage. Lopez has basically been a human punching bag, right? And he's allowed Spivak to tee off on him. And Spivak hasn't really been able to hurt him. I mean, remember, Tony Lopez is 45 years old, standing right in front of him with his chin up high and exposed. Spivak's been able to land a high volume of strikes in this round, but for a heavyweight, it does indicate to me that he perhaps lacks knockout power, because he's had such an ample opportunity to land kill shots on Lopez, And we're 4 minutes into the fight now, and he's been unable to do that. Also, while he did show, some wrestling, his offensive wrestling was a little bit underwhelming. And at the same time, we're seeing a little bit more of it here. A nice judo trip there. Going to a bulldog choke position, which again isn't great. You'd expect to see this. Wow. Let's watch that again. Now I mean, Spivak has literally nothing here. Spivak literally has nothing. He has... Right, I don't want to ever accuse anyone of any shady shit. But if I were a betting man, which I am, I would bet on two things happening here, and only one of two things. Either this fight's fixed as fuck, and either these boys are throwing the fight, or the promotion has put Tony Lopez up to throw in the fight, or Tony Lopez has straight up quit here. Which, if you know anything about Tony Lopez, is very unlikely, because he is an absolute warrior. This is just a crazy outcome, really. I mean, Spivak doesn't really have anything there. I mean, the fast tap is also super suspicious. Very, very strange finish. Very, very strange. That fight looked fixed as fuck to me. Let me know what you think in the chat, boys. But yeah, that definitely looked fixed. Because Tony Lopez isn't the kind of guy to quit. So we learned a little bit about Spivak there. We're now going to go and watch his fight against Ivo Kook from WWFC 10 from March of 2018. He did have a neck crank punch sized, but it wasn't locked in very tight. And Lopez insta-tapped. Very suspicious. We'll go on now. Sergey Spivak against Ivo Kook. Let's see what we've got here. Ends around about the halfway point of round 1. Very nice leg kick there from Kook to open the fight up. Now we want to see a lot of grappling here from Spivak, because that's obviously going to be his key to victory. Tuivasa, primarily a boxer, heavy-handed, but his Achilles heel, his weakness is his grappling. We saw Spivak use a little bit of it in that last fight against Lopez. Not a tremendous deal though. Kook is obviously not looking like the highest level fighter at the moment. And there we see Spivak go to a body lock takedown again. Very nice. Although Kook didn't really put up too much resistance there. See a little bit of Spivak's top game here now, because remember, he did give Lopez quite a lot of space to work his way back to his feet. Very nice ground and pound again, but I'm seeing the same weakness, right? So remember in the last fight, when he took Lopez down, he gave Lopez a lot of time and space to scramble back to his feet. I'm seeing exactly the same thing here. So if you have a look here, as Spivak's raining down the ground and pound, Spivak doesn't have any control of Kook at all. Kook could explode back to his feet. I mean, he's eating shots anyway. He could eat shots exploding back to his feet. Tuivasa wouldn't accept this position. Tuivasa would immediately go to his knees and try and work his way back up a hell of a lot faster than what we're seeing from Kook here. So again, when Spivak does get takedown, it does give his opponents a lot of space to get out of bad positions, which isn't good, because Tuivasa is the kind of guy that will explode out of these positions. But Spivak showing very, very nasty ground and pound here. Kook not showing too much urgency to get back up. He's back up now. Let's see what Spivak does. Goes for a rear naked choke without any hooks in or control of the body. Interesting. Spivak's making a lot of mistakes in these grappling exchanges that shouldn't really be that effective against a guy like Tai Tuivasa. He's got the body lock here. Spivak is showing a lot of bad fight IQ, because what I'm seeing is a guy just being very, very aggressive, just trying to overwhelm his opponent without actually using his brain and just thinking, you know, this guy clearly hasn't got the best takedown defense. He's not great off his back. Why don't I just take him down, move into half guard, beat him up from top position and win the round? You know, he's making a lot of mistakes and he's getting away with it because Ivo Kuk's a low-level guy, but even though Tuivasa is very, very bad on the ground, he's not going to let you do this to him. Now, even now, he doesn't really have any control of Kuk, and it's over. Interesting. That is another interesting one. What have we got in the chat, boys? What have we got in the chat? Oh, nice one, Definite Integral. Thanks, mate. Diet. I am sorry, dude. I'm not too sure about this Twitch thing. Is it everything working okay for everyone though, right? The quality and everything's good? Nice one, Lee Dosis. Thanks, mate. Right, let's go on to this next fight. The legend that is Travis Fulton against Sergey Spivak. This is from a little while ago. This is from June 2017. So over 2 years. Fucking hell. Jesus Christ. Travis Fulton, over 300 pro fights. And that is one hell of a record, to be fair. 257 and 54. Wow. What the fuck? Does he fight every weekend? That's crazy. Jesus Christ. Over 300 pro fights. Travis Fulton against Sergey Spivak. 42 years old from 2 years ago. So obviously you would have expected Spivak to improve quite a bit since then. Fulton in the white and green shirt. Spivak in the black. Let's see what he gives to us. You think Fulton, having that many fights, being game as hell, could possibly give Spivak maybe his toughest test out of the previous two fighters that we've seen? Fulton looks quite small for a heavyweight though, although I guess Spivak at 6'3" would maybe put Fulton at around about 6 foot tall, so maybe not. Spivak's just a big boy. Yeah, someone needs to send Brendan Schaub Travis Fulton's record just to trigger another one of his CTE rants, which I love listening to. They are amazing. What are we thinking about this fight so far though, boys? We all know what Tuivasa brings from the table. Oh, actually, Spivak getting cut on a single leg there, taken down. It is a little bit suspect how all these fights are in this WWFC promotion that I've never heard of. Fulton jumping on a guillotine there. It looks quite nasty, actually. He didn't have control of Spivak's body, though, which is obviously going to make it difficult to get it. And Spivak pops back up to his feet. No risk of seeing anything like that from Tuivasa, though. Tuivasa, pure striker. Never looks to take opponents down. After this fight's over, even though it's a long time ago, I will show you one fight from Tai Tuivasa, which is an interesting one. It's just kind of a shame. It's hard to gauge Spivak's striking because his UFC debut against Walt Harris ended in under a minute, and obviously Walt Harris is very good, and none of these guys are really testing him. You know, we don't really get to learn about what his chin's like, his striking defense. And he's landed something there. I believe it was a knee that put Fulton down. And one thing we do know for sure about Travis Fulton is that he does have vicious ground and pound. We've seen that in his last two fights now. What's bits, man? I don't know what bits is. What's bits, Lee Dosis, dude? I don't know what bits is. Everyone, you want me to do bits, bro? I don't know what bits are. Anyway. Spivak. Again, is Fulton looking for a way out there though? Gave his back up very easily. So let's watch one more before I want to show you a fight of Tai Tuivasa, if it's available. Let's have a cheeky little look. It used to be, unless it's been taken down. Yes, it is still available. So we will watch this in a bit, boys, and then we'll wrap up this one. Right, Sergey Spivak against Luke Morton from back in March 2017. Let's get it going. Very, very nice timed right hand counter there from Spivak. Morton landed a hard leg kick to open the fight up, and then Spivak wasn't having any of it. He's got a read on it, and every time Morton's throwing that leg kick out now, Spivak's answering with a big right hand. Very, very nice. Spivak does appear to be quite fast. We've seen it with his fast ground and pound. Again, a strange finish, boys. I don't want to point the finger at anyone for corruption, but more than one of these fights has looked fixed, and they've all been in the same promotion, this WWFC, which I've never heard of. So another really dodgy fight. We didn't learn a lot about Spivak there, but I do want to show you one of Tai Tuivasa's fights against James McSweeney from, this was back in October 2016. And it ended at the end of the first round. Let's just take a look at it though. So obviously this fight was 3 years ago. You would have expected Tuivasa to have improved quite a lot since then. However, having said that, Junior Dos Santos in his fight in December 2018 did expose the fact that Tai Tuivasa is still at a super low level on the ground, right? So let's take a look at this fight where we see a little bit more of the extent at which Tuivasa tends to struggle. Let's take a look here. So are people struggling to watch this? Demon Slay's saying that people can't watch this because it's in 4K. Let me know, boys, if any of you are having problems, because I'm not sure. This is the first one. I'm trying to get everything straightened out. Sorry, boys, if it's not working. I will tweak the settings though if everything's not working good. But I just assumed I would stream in 4K. Which is the maximum quality settings. So if your internet connection wasn't fast enough to deal with that, you could just look at it in a lower resolution. Cheers, boys. Looks like 4. Okay, maybe I need to drop it to 1080p. Sorry about that, Demon Slay. I will drop it to 1080p for the next one, mate. Oh, so Mr. Wolfsburg saying you can change resolution settings. That's what I was hoping for. Yeah, so I'm doing it in 4K for people that want to watch it in 4K, but obviously you should just be able to drop it down. Alright, sorry boys, I'll do 1080p next. Sorry, Ghostface dude. Nice one, boys. I'll do 1080p. Sorry about that, boys. We'll lower the quality a bit. We skip ahead and see some of these grappling exchange. Okay. That's kind of seeing a little bit of what I wanted to bring up. So remember, when Sergey Spivak would take down the past opponents we've just seen, when they hit the ground, there was like a window of opportunity where he gave them to explode back to their feet, and they didn't take it. Watch what happens as soon as Tuivasa gets taken down. As soon as he hits the ground, he's immediately looking to come back up. Watch. Bang. Immediately looks to get back up. Now remember that Ivan Cook guy, or whatever his name was? Ivo Cook. Remember when he got taken down and he was in this position. Remember how he kind of just stayed on his knees and just allowed Spivak to just light him up with vicious ground and pound. Tuivasa's obviously, he's going to be happy to eat shots to get back up to his feet, but that's just what I wanted to show you a little bit of there. Even though Tuivasa's takedown defense isn't great, he's not just going to accept being in a bad position on the ground and allowing Spivak to rain down vicious ground and pound. He's going to want to explode out of those bad positions very quickly. So just wanted to point that tiny little detail out, but there are a few other things I want to show you in this fight. Very nice leaping left hook there from Tuivasa. Gum shield is out. Do think we see a few more grappling exchange in this fight. Now obviously McSweeney's not the most accomplished grappler. He is a kickboxer, but you know, Spivak doesn't look like the most accomplished grappler either. Here we see Tuivasa in on a body lock, in a strong position to get this, hands connected around the body of McSweeney. McSweeney should be going for a ride here, and it's shit like that can get him into trouble, right? So Tuivasa went for a crazy suplex that he should never have been going for from this position, and almost ended up on the bottom. I mean, come on, man, taking big risks there. Now, you may say this was 3 years ago. He was only young back then. He only would have been like 23 years old. I get it. He will have improved a lot. But remember, if you guys go back and watch the Andrei Arlovski fight, he did something similar against Andrei Arlovski and spent almost the entire first round on the bottom underneath Arlovski. And this fight only took place last year. So even though I'm sure he has improved a lot since then, he still makes stupid mistakes like this. And we saw that he fell into mount very easily against Junior Dos Santos as well. And when you look at a guy like Spivak, you don't want a guy like that on top of you, mounting you, raining down vicious ground and pound. But what I do like, again, Tuivasa doesn't waste any time in trying to work his way back to his feet. Immediately goes to his knees and just looks to stand back up very quickly. Although I'm guessing he does. He's kind of chilling in this position. McSweeney hammering with ground and pound. Obviously, Spivak's very dangerous from this position. It looked like Tuivasa was just going to be able to stand back up here, but he is accepting this position for a little longer than I would have liked. He's trying to bait McSweeney into taking his back so he can create a scramble and get back up. There he goes. So, did stay in that position for a little while, but as you can see, Tuivasa super scrappy when it comes to these grappling exchanges, and I think McSweeney might actually have blown his knee out on that exchange there, and the fight might be over. I think he has to retire. I don't think he can get back up. Oh, he actually ends up on the bottom there. This is chaos. We gotta watch this unfold. So Tuivasa inside control. So how the fuck did he lose side control there? McSweeney literally just slips out. Again, showing Tuivasa at a very, very low level on the ground. And the thing is, on one hand, you could say, you know, this fight was 3 years ago. Tuivasa was very young. I'm sure he's improved a lot since then. But on the other hand, he does train with Mark Hunt. And we saw, you know, Mark Hunt did make big improvements to his takedown defense from when he fought in K1 to when he came into the UFC. But in terms of his actual ground game and wrestling, didn't really evolve at all in his entire career. So it's worrying to think that, you know, possibly Tuivasa might be going down the same road. But lots of red flags when it comes to grappling in this video from Tai Tuivasa, right? I mean, he's literally belly down there just holding on to an ankle. I mean, what is this? I mean, you never see this in MMA. Look, he's literally belly down just holding on to an ankle. So strange. So many holes from Tuivasa that you know as soon as he faces a decent grappler, they're going to be able to cause him big problems. But obviously we haven't seen a lot of Spivak's grappling. We know he's got a little bit there, but is it going to be enough to cause Tuivasa a problem? So I think the fight's over there. I actually think McSweeney retires on the stool. I think he blew his knee out or something. Yeah, the fight is over from there. So that is it, boys. What do you reckon about this fight from a betting perspective then? Should we take a look and see what the fuck is going on? So if we look at the fight at the moment, Tuivasa currently a big favourite at around 1.25, which is minus 400 for an implied probability of 80%. That is steep. Obviously, if you understand how probabilities work, based on what we've just seen, I think it's fair to say there's no way you can bet Tuivasa at those odds. Can't put him in a parlay, can't put him in an accumulator. Spivak certainly doesn't blow your hair back, doesn't look like he's particularly dangerous standing, doesn't look like he's a particularly technical grappler either, but he is a big boy, does have vicious ground and pound, and who knows, man, we're talking about improvements that Tuivasa will have made. I'm sure Spivak will have made some improvements as well to tighten up that grappling. But if we take a look at his odds, let me know what you think, boys. Let me know what you think. If we've got his odds, average odds are around about 4.20, which is plus 320 for an implied probability of 24%. Would you take a gamble on Spivak, boys? Would you take a gamble? I think you know. I don't know. I certainly, if someone said to me, I'm betting Spivak this weekend, I certainly wouldn't tell him it's a bad bet. Because I don't think it is. To get value here, you've got to give him at least a 30% chance of winning. Personally, the way I like to do things, whenever you place these kinds of bets, these higher risk bets, I mean, obviously when you're betting on odds in this ballpark on an underdog this big, there's going to be a greater chance they lose. And for that reason, because of that added variance, I like to get an extra profit margin on these kind of bets when I lock them in. So whereas I'm happy to take a 5% margin on favourites or fighters close to even money, there might be slight underdogs, I need more of a margin on big underdogs because they're going to lose way more often. So the variance can be a motherfucker. So by getting an extra margin, it just means you get your money in slightly stronger positions that can, over time, compound into much bigger gains. And the problem I have here is the implied probability of only 24% on Spivak seems way off. But I like a 10% margin on these kind of bets. So I'd want to be capping him here at around 35%, which for me gets tricky just because, obviously, Tuivasa does have home advantage. He has a lot of experience in the UFC now. He's a great boxer. He's got cardio for 3 rounds. We don't know anything about Spivak's cardio because all his fights have ended in round 1. Also, he has only fought a very, very low level of opponent. So is he one of these guys that's very good at being the hammer, not so good at being the nail? We don't really know anything about his chin. All we know is the first time that he stepped up and faced a high-level guy in Walt Harris, he got slapped. We know Tuivasa's got a chin from hell, an absolute granite chin. He's a warrior. He's incredible. He's extremely tough. And with this fight as well, it's tough though because Spivak was going to his grappling in almost all those fights. We know Tuivasa's a very low level on the ground. The thing with this kind of bet is I wouldn't tell anyone the Spivak's a bad bet, but I don't think I can get to give him a 35% probability here of winning. That is a stretch. For me, it's probably going to be a reluctant pass, and this is one of those fights where I can see Spivak winning. I think there's value there. I mean, at the end of the day, every single heavyweight carries legit KO power, right? So whenever you see odds like this on a heavyweight fight, it should already send your spidey senses tingling. But Spivak probably loses, and it really comes down to what your risk tolerance is. Do you want to put your money in this position? I don't think it's a super strong position to put your money. I'm only looking for strong positions, but it's not a terrible bet. It's definitely not a terrible bet. I could see why someone would want to bet Spivak based on everything we've just seen. Let me know what you think, boys. Let me know what you think. Anyway, boys, I think that's going to wrap up this little part of the breakdown. But drop any comments in the chat or any questions you got in the chat. We'll go through them now, boys. And as soon as this video's done, I'm going to go and check the quality of the video. Make sure it's all good for YouTube. If it's all good, I'm going to come right back and we're going to jump into 2 more fights. We're going to do the Anderson against Dos Santos one, Malarkey against Riddle. We're going to get them out tonight, boys. But I'm just going to scroll back through the chat. One thing I will say, I was a bit gutted that we've got to switch from YouTube to Twitch, but it's way easier to keep up with your comments in the chat room. YouTube just fucking flies miles ahead and you miss loads of people's comments. This one's way more stable. So I much prefer this chat. Maybe we'll stick to Twitch after all. Although there are only 60 people watching, and on YouTube there'd be like well over 100. See if we got any questions. So Brown Don has said he sees Tuivasa getting the KO here, but his line's too steep and I'm staying clear from Spivak. Pass on this one. I agree with you, dude. Multi 420 has said being burnt on heavyweights too often. They're tricky, man. They all can hit so fucking hard, can't they, man? Churchy saying loves the switch to Twitch. You know what, Churchy, man? I've never used Twitch before, so I'm a little bit... You know what I mean? Everyone fears the unknown, don't they? But hopefully we'll get into it. SMB 1984 saying, where are your football videos? Oh, mate, you know what? I would wish I could do football videos at the moment, but Bellator are fucking relentless. Bellator have had so many events lately. They had 2 events last week. They've got 1 event this week. If you have a look, where are we going? Bellator just keep pumping out events, man, which means I've barely got enough time to produce UFC content, let alone football content as well. I mean, if we have a look at it, so far this month Bellator have had, last month Bellator had 3 events, 2 in 1 weekend. This month Bellator have got 3 events. So on top of UFC, man, it's just not enough hours in the day to do football stuff, which is a shame. Lee Dosis has said, do you think your MMA knowledge would help you win a street fight? Definitely, man. 100%. Because every street fight you ever watched, you just see people flailing their fists at each other, right? Take those motherfuckers down. Get into top position. Do your thing, innit? You know what I mean? Definitely, I think anyone who watches MMA's got a big advantage. Just being like positionally aware of what to do in different situations. Now, obviously, the saying goes from Mike Tyson, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. But it's better than not having no plan at all. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I do think it would help a little bit. But I'm a giant pussy. You'd probably get my ass kicked anyway. So Demon Slay saying to stick it out with Twitch is great. Boys, what are the benefits of Twitch? I don't really understand what the pros and cons are. For me, the interface and everything isn't so great. And I find that people that are on YouTube and Twitch, I feel they don't get many views on Twitch. They get way more on YouTube, which is why I want to stick with YouTube. But let me know what the benefits are, boys. I click you tilt has asked, will you do the Pitolo and Taffa fights? Let's have a look, man. See if we got any. If we can get a good amount of footage on those matchups. Let's have a look. So this one might be tricky. Usually it's hard to get footage from CFFC, so we can't get this one because it'll be on Fight Pass. Maki Bitolo, Chris Cisneros. see if we got this. Ooh, have we got this? Or is that just a promo? Oh, that's from 2015. They must have fought before. Did they? I don't know what the fuck's going on here, man. That says... Oh, that's from Bellator. What is going on here? So, that fight looks like it's going to be difficult to get hold of. No, I probably won't be able to do the Pitolo versus Callum Potter fight, mate, because this fight's going to be on Fight Pass, which will be copyright restricted. This one's not available by the look of it, unless sometimes they do have fights on the Bellator website. Let's have a look. No, it's not on the Bellator website either. So no, won't be able to do Pitolo versus Potter, mate, because there's not much recent footage available on Pitolo. What was the other one you wanted? Taffa. Let's have a look at him. Jorgen De Castro again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's loads of footage on these boys. Yeah, we will be able to do the heavyweight fight for sure, just not the Pitolo Potter fight, dude. Lidosis, man, saying I would get more views on Twitch. Is that true? Is that true? I thought more people were on YouTube, but I didn't realise Twitch was a thing. I thought it was just a gaming platform. Nick Kelleher said, really interested in your take on Matthews versus Ackman. Yeah, man. So, Ackman is one of the guys that I'm considering a bet on without any research. So, there's quite a bit of recent footage available on Ackman. So, I will do one of these research videos really soon on the Ackman versus Matthews fight, possibly tomorrow. Rex Texas has said, how many streams do I think I'll do this week? So I'm basically going to try and do a stream for every fight that I can kind of live stream research for. So it should be 1, because there's some footage of Silver available. 2, we'll do that after this one. 3, we'll do that tonight as well. Won't be able to do this one, there's not enough footage. We'll be able to do this one. So what's that? That's 4. 5. Yeah, so should do another 5 as well as this one, man. Oh, so a lot of people saying we'll get more viewers on Twitch. That's interesting, man. YouTube's really small compared to Twitch when it comes to streaming. I had no idea, Demon. So Lidos is saying most confident DraftKings pick and best underdog for DraftKings. Well, I haven't researched many fights yet, dude. But the best pick so far, I would say, is probably... I can't say yet, mate, because obviously heavyweights tend to be great for DraftKings, so we want to do this fight. I'll answer that later on in the week, man, when I've done more fights. Tasmanian 187 saying if Ackman misses weight, you can literally shave a few pounds off. That's true, dude. He is one hairy motherfucker. C Michelle 316 has asked how I did on UFC last week. Let's show you, dude. So I went 2-0 on live betting for the weekend. I had Gilbert Burns and Daniel Weichel in Bellator. So 2-0 on live betting, and I went 1-2 on pre-fight bets on UFC Copenhagen. So I had 2 units on Alan Amadovsky, 2 units on Makhmad Muradov, 2 units on Brandon Davis. So obviously this bet lost, this bet lost, this bet won. So I think overall, let's have a look actually rather than just guessing. So overall, it was 2 times 1.68 equals take away 2 equals. So 4 take away 1.36 equals. So overall loss of 2.64 units. And I was just really disappointed. So If you want, you can come on the website, have a read of this. So these were obviously all three of them were high risk bets, but these were such easy stylistic matchups for Brandon Davis and Alan Amadovsky. I mean, obviously they're going to be risky because, well, Brandon Davis has got bad fight IQ, and we didn't really know too much about Amadovsky, but I put a YouTube video here of Amadovsky from a while back, just basically demonstrating his grappling. It was from a very long time ago, but he showed that he's got, decent grappling, decent ground and pound, and if you've ever watched a John Phillips fight, you will know that John Phillips has absolutely no takedown defense and ground game. So the reason for the bet was simple as that. If Alan Amadovsky is smart, he'll just take John Phillips down, dominate him on the ground, get an easy win. But unfortunately, Amadovsky fought extremely dumb, came out and got into a firefight with a guy that, like I have said here, has an absolute godlike chin. The worst thing you can do is try and exchange shots with Phillips. He wants to bait you into that kind of fight. Because, I'm Welsh. I have followed Phillips's career for many, many, many years. He's from the same country as me. And you will not knock this guy out. He's an absolute fucking beast. But he has no takedown defense and no ground game. And to see Amadovsky just come out and get into a firefight was so confusing. But you know what? Even though it's frustrating to take losses like that, at the end of the day, these fighters, they go out on their shield. Amadovsky felt like that's what he needed to do, whatever. But I'm more mad at Brandon Davis because, from my perspective, Amadovsky went out there, got into a firefight and got knocked out very quickly. If he would have just maybe got rocked and was able to recover, maybe he would have thought, you know what, it ain't a good idea to trade shots with this guy. I'd better go to my wrestling, take him down, control him on the ground, right? Maybe that's what Amadovsky would have done, but he wasn't given a chance because he was KO'd so quickly into the fight. Whereas Brandon Davis was given an opportunity to adjust his tactics. Within the first minute, he came out, went to the body lock, dragged Chikadze to the ground and dominated him on the ground easily. Chikadze hit a crazy reversal towards the end of the first round when Davis started to get really complacent from top position. But Davis showed that he could easily take Chikadze down and dominate him on the ground. But he obviously lost the first round because Chikadze was able to hit that reversal, finish the round strong with some heavy ground and pound. But that was his opportunity then to learn from his mistake and adjust his game plan and think, if I just take this guy down, stay heavy from top position and chip away at him from top position, this is an easy night's work. I mean, this is why we bet Brandon Davis. Again, if you go back and watch Chikadze on Dana White's Contender Series, he showed then he's got very bad takedown defense, very low level ground game. And Davis exposed this, but for whatever reason, in that second and third round, he chose to get into a kickboxing match and lost the decision. In that second round, he didn't shoot a takedown until like the final minute, or he didn't fully commit to a takedown until the final minute of round 2. Exactly the same thing in round 3 and lost the decision. It just baffles me. So, Amadovsky got knocked out. You take it on the chin. But Davis's performance was super frustrating because I felt like he handed the win to Chikadze on a plate. I felt like it was an easy fight for Davis. Could have been an easy night's work. He should have just taken him down, dominated him from top position. But in the end, he played with fire, let the wolf in the chicken coop, tried to win a kickboxing match against a high-level kickboxer and lost the decision. He's only got himself to blame. And that's why gambling is so frustrating, because at the end of the day, you look at the odds on Brandon Davis, close to even money. You look at the odds on Amadovsky, even money. This is 2019 in the UFC now. You cannot expect to survive in the UFC with no takedown defense and no ground game. John Phillips has got no takedown defense and no ground game. Chikadze, no takedown defense and no ground game. These are two easy fights for Amadovsky and Davis. Fights they should be winning. And for both of them to lose is very, very unlucky. I will say that, because they both fought totally dumb. But that's the problem with betting on MMA. You're not betting on robots. You're not betting on video game characters that you can control. At the end of the day, all you can do is put your money in strong positions and hope for the best. And you can't fight for the fighters, you know what I mean? So they were two very frustrating losses to take. But what can you do? Anyway, I will get back to the question. I'm sorry for a little bit of a rant there. But what I would say about these losses is they don't make me mad like they used to. These kind of losses in the past were frustrating when you cap a fight, you know exactly what to expect. You establish the risk factors, you know exactly what their opponents bring to the table. I even said here is a risk factor on the Amadovsky bet. We don't know how willing Amadovsky will be to use his wrestling. Maybe he'll have bad fight IQ and want to keep the fight standing. We put that as a risk factor, but at the end of the day, if you always passed for any little risk factor you found, you'd never end up placing any bet at all. So at the end of the day, you do have to have conviction in your decisions and pull the trigger. And in the past, these kind of losses would annoy me because you do gain money in strong position and then the fighter implodes. But over time, you just get used to it because it's very common. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, fighters will always demonstrate bad fight IQ, make tactical mistakes, come in with the wrong game plan. And all you can do, ultimately, is just keep putting your money in strong positions. And then over the long term, hope that you make more than you lose. So yeah, took a small loss last weekend, but hopefully we'll get back on track this weekend. Let's take a look. Any more questions? Turning Screws has said the Brandon Davis fight drove me fucking crazy. I have PTSD from that and the Macy Kiazon fight. Yeah, man. I mean, if you made money on this card, respect. Because I feel like this was one of those cards where no matter who I would have bet on, I would have lost. Like Omilanchuk losing, Khalil Roundtree losing, Jack Hermanson losing. It was tough, man. It was a tough card. Oh, thanks a lot, Demon Slay, man. I was actually looking how to do that. So Demon Slay has just said to recommend saving previous broadcasts. Thanks, dude. I thought that would do it automatically, but nice one for the heads up, Demon Slay, man. I really appreciate it. I couldn't figure out how to do that, dude. Yeah, Nick Kelleher saying that Amadovsky did something you just don't do against Phillips. He swung like a madman. All Phillips has is a big punch. Even Marshman was able to limit Phillips' punch power from the previous fight. Yeah, you know what, man? When I bet Amadovsky, I was like, obviously it's a little bit risky. We don't know much about him. But literally, Phillips only has one way to win. Like, the only way he can beat you is if you stand in front of him and get into a firefight. If you go down any other road, if you use any other game plan, 9 times out of 10, John Phillips loses because he's so one-dimensional. He's just a pure boxer. So when you then see Amadovsky come out and play right into his hands and literally do the one thing that he had to avoid doing, it's almost like a moth or a fly getting attracted to the bug zapper. You know what I mean? In a restaurant, like they just fly towards it and get zapped. Amadovsky got sucked into the one range, the one area of the fight where Phillips had a chance of winning. And it's annoying because, honestly, I thought Amadovsky was a steal at almost even money because Phillips only had one way to win. If the fight plays out in any other range, Amadovsky wins. So, annoying, but you just got to take him on the chin, man. What can you do? Jay Thor has said, what did you think of Roundtree's performance? Man, honestly, I didn't think Roundtree did anything bad. I just think Cutelaba showed up with a completely new set of skills. It's quite strange, right? Because Cutelaba, if we just bring his profile up here, because I don't want to get his nationality wrong, because I keep getting his nationality wrong, I keep getting corrected for it. So when Ion Cutelaba came into the UFC, he was branded as a Moldovan national Greco-Roman wrestling champion, which was really strange because he never showed very good offensive wrestling or takedown defense. His wrestling looked super low level, so it was kind of like really annoying when you'd always hear like the commentators and pundits talk about him being a national wrestling champion, but in actual fact he was a very low level wrestler. But then on Saturday night he finally turned it on and used his grappling and looked devastating, and there were clues that it was coming, but it would have been impossible to predict. But what I would say was, in all these fights here, Cutelaba's takedown defense and offensive wrestling and ground game looked really poor, right? But in the Glover fight, because I bet Glover in this fight, we made a bit of money on Glover as an underdog. Tuivasa showed dramatically improved takedown defense, dramatically improved, and he caused Glover some problems. But obviously, you're not going to be wanting to try and take a guy like Glover down. But I guess from seeing his offensive wrestling improve, there might have been clues that from signs that his defensive wrestling, his takedown defense had improved in this fight. There were perhaps clues that his offensive wrestling would have improved as well. And Jesus Christ, his offensive wrestling looked great against Roundtree. And I mean, we knew going in that Roundtree's takedown defense and ground game was poor. But Tuivasa just ran right through him and looked incredible, man. Money Man invested and said, what do you think about Tai getting a KO in the first round? It's tough, man, because we don't really know much about Spivak. I mean, he got caught cold against Walt Harris in his debut, but we can't write his chin off straight away just for that, you know what I mean? Can't just... I mean, we don't know, right? We don't know. Wigan Warriors has asked if I've done the live Adesanya versus Whittaker breakdown yet. No, mate, it will be coming soon, though. Probably tomorrow. Let's talk about that Lidosis. Let's talk about it tomorrow, dude, about the VPN or Wi-Fi dongle, because it's different tools for different situations. But that's going to be it for this live stream, boys. Spivak, Tuivasa is done. I'm going to close this down. Then we're going to come... As long as everything's okay, I'm going to check the quality and everything, tweak the settings. If everything's good, in the next 30 minutes, I will be back with a breakdown for the fight between Anderson and Fern Dos Santos. Not a breakdown, a live stream. We're going to jump into this one, boys, because just like with Tuivasa, we know Megan Anderson has no takedown defense or no ground game. And again, she's a big favourite. So when you see a fighter like this with huge holes as a big favourite, it gets my spidey senses tingling. I'm just hoping that Dos Santos shows us a bit more than what Spivak did. But then at the same time, I would say Anderson's takedown defense and ground game is worse than Tuivasa's. So let's jump into that, boys. And then after that, we're going to do the Brad Riddell versus Jamie Malarkey fight. So yeah, boys, I'll be back in a sec. I don't even know what you do on Twitch. Do you subscribe? I don't even know what you do, boys. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll be back very, very, very soon. Take care, boys. I'll be back in a sec.